Hello guys, in this knowledge module, I will extend the discussion from my previous lecture where I discussed the relationship between the prices and the exchange rate. So in this lecture, we will see the relationship between the interest rates and the exchange rate. So we have these objectives where we want to understand the relationship between the interest rate and the exchange rate. And in doing so, we will understand the concept of international Fisher effect. The international Fisher effect will lead us to the calculation of forward rates. And once we link the interest rate and the forward rate, we'll come to the interest rate parity theorem, which explain the movement of the exchange rate. So up till this time, when we are discussing about the purchasing power parity, we assume that the change in the exchange rate depends on the demand of the services and goods produced in a particular country or in any country. But it's not only the demand of services and goods that can affect the exchange rate, it is also the demand for the investment. Maybe in one country, people want to invest because of the better political scenario, there is less political risk, so they want to invest over there. So in doing so, there is a demand, there is a movement of the capital, and that can also affect the exchange rate. So on top of demand of the goods and services, the demand of capital or the investment can also affect the exchange rate. So let's first understand the relationship between the inflation and the interest rate. In when we link the inflation with the interest rate, we come to the concept of Fisher effect. So the Fisher effect says that the nominal interest rate is the sum of the real rate of return and the expected inflation in any country. And for example, if you have $100 and there is a particular commodity whose each unit is costing you $20, so how much you will get today if you want to buy the units? How many units of that commodity you can buy with your $100? Obviously 5. So 20 multiplied by 5, $100. So $100 will buy you 5 units of that commodity, where the cost of each unit is $20. Now, if the interest rate, if the inflation in that country is 10%, the same $20 worth of unit after a year will cost you $22. Instead of buying the 5 unit today, you are thinking to invest it, and the purpose of the investment is that you must be better off after a year and having a more consumption. So if you'll get say 13% interest rate, it means that 10% is the expected inflation embedded in it, and the rest 3% is your real rate of return. So if you invest $100 at say 13%, so after a year you'll get $113, and after a year with $110 out of that $113 which you'll get back, you can buy those units even with the higher inflation, 5 of those units after a year, and still will be left with $3, and that $3 you can spend anywhere else. So you are better off in doing so. So the nominal Fisher effect says that the nominal interest rate I should be equal to let me move over here. So it should be equal to the expected inflation, this one, plus the real rate of return. So we can see that there is a relationship between the inflation and the interest rate. Now, if in this Fisher effect we bring in the concept of exchange rate, we'll come to the topic of international Fisher effect, or we call it also the Fisher Open. So the Fisher Open says that the exchange rate should change in an equal amount but in the opposite direction to the difference in interest rate between the two countries. So for example, if there is a US investor and he's buying a 10-year Japanese bond which is offering him 4%, and he has and for the same 10-year bond the rate in USA is 6%, so there is a difference of 2%. So he's getting 2% less by investing in Japan rather in his home country where it was 6%. So he must be rewarded by appreciation of the Japanese yen, because he's now holding his asset currency is Japanese yen. He's holding the Japanese bond. So after over the 10-year, during that 10-year period, because this is a 10-year bond, during that 10-year period, for each year the appreciation of the yen should be 2%. Otherwise he will be better off by investing in his home country at 6%. And if the exchange rate will not move in such a way where the Japanese yen should appreciate by 2%, then all the capital will actually flow in only to USA because they are offering better rate, 2% more rate compared to the bond in Japan, and the system will not be in equilibrium. So in other words, wherever the interest rate is lower, so we'll first check the difference in the interest rate between the two countries, and where the interest rate is low, like in this case for the Japanese bond the interest rate is 4%, so it's 2% lower than the USA. So next year, and in fact every year during that 10-year period, the Japanese yen should appreciate vis-a-vis the dollar by 2%. So this is the concept of international Fisher effect, and the justification is that the investor must be rewarded or penalized to offset the expected change in the exchange rate. If the Fisher effect will not hold, like the international Fisher effect, as I just mentioned, then there is no reason for the investor to go and invest in the country where the interest rate is low, and in fact he should invest in the country where the interest rate is high. But if the markets are efficient, this should not happen, and the situation will come to the level where he will be indifferent between these two alternative investment options. So at the end of the day, whether he's investing in US bonds, after 10 years he'll end up getting the same return, or as if he has invested in the Japanese yen, and after the 10 year, because of the appreciation of the Japanese yen, he'll end up getting the same return as well. So this is the international Fisher effect. Now we can see, if you know about the topic of the relative purchasing power parity, where there was a relationship between the exchange rate and the inflation, difference in the inflation between the two countries. So from the inflation, we link the inflation with the interest rate, and now we have linked the interest rate, the difference between the interest rate and the movement of the exchange rate between the two currencies. So it means that if any person will give you the interest rate of the two countries and the spot rate, you can find the spot rate after a particular period. For example, if you want to find the spot rate after 6 months, you can find it that the spot rate as well. Or if you want to find the spot rate after 1 year with only the three variables and factors: two interest rates, the interest rate between one country and the interest rate in the other country, and the spot exchange rate, the spot exchange rate, which is the rate right now, exchange rate. You can find the future future spot exchange rate for any particular period. Now, if you are finding that future spot rate, today, what is that rate then? Let's suppose if I want to find the spot rate after 90 days, but I'm trying to find it today, that is actually the forward rate. So that my estimation about the unbiased, if the estimation about the future spot rate is the forward rate today. So from here, that thing will lead us to the concept of the computation of the forward rate. So let's suppose this is the formula of the forward rate. So forward rate of uh, any time period, I'm taking over here the 90 days forward rate. So 90 days forward rate, where this exchange rate is actually written in terms of mathematical way, where the spot rate is over here. If you see, this one is the spot rate. So this spot rate is actually, just give me a second. This spot rate is actually how many of Swiss franc we are using to buy 1 unit of the US dollar. So it means for the Swiss citizens, it is actually the direct quote, because you are buying 1 unit of the 1 unit of the foreign currency. And for the American citizen, this is the indirect quote, because you are using the foreign currency in order to buy 1 unit of the domestic currency. So this spot rate is in terms of so in this spot rate, the base currency is the US dollar. We are buying 1 unit of the US dollar, in short. So 90 days forward rate for the Swiss, it's not France, it's franc, versus the US dollar exchange rate is forward rate 90 days is equal to the spot rate of the franc versus the US dollar multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate on the bond issued in Switzerland, multiplied by 90 divided by 360, where interest rates are usually given in terms of per annum basis. So you have to convert in over the 3 months period. And in the denominator, you have 1 plus interest rate on the similar bond with the similar duration and risk, 90 divided by 360. So if the spot rate is Swiss franc 1.48 versus 1 US dollar, and the interest rate offered by the Swiss bond is 4% per annum, and interest rate offered by the US bond is 8% per annum, then simply compute these numbers. So in over here in the spot rate, you will be plugging in 1.48, 1 plus the interest rate, which is 0.04, because it's in decimal, it's 0.04, into 90 divided by 360, whole divided by 1 plus the interest rate, which is of the US dollar, which is 8%. In decimal, it's 0.08, into 90 divided by 360. So this dot over here, if you see again this one, I'm not able to move for some reason my mouse, but you can see that after the interest ISF and I dollar in the numerator and denominator of the formula, there is a dot. This dot means the multiplication. So if you do this computation, you will find the forward rate, 90 days forward rate, is equal to the Swiss franc 1.4655 per US dollar. So we can see that there is a difference of, now this is the application of the international Fisher effect. But in international Fisher effect, we talked about the future spot rate. But if we want to calculate that future spot rate today, it's actually the forward rate. So the future spot rate after 90 days. So if we'll move, so today, if it's say 1st November 2020, and after 90 days, it is actually the 31st January 2021, right? So this is the 1st November 2020, and after 90 days, it is the 31st January 2021. And if we want to know that what is the future spot rate at that time, we need we can calculate it today, but that today is that that will give us the forward rate 90 days from here onward, right? So after if you so this is the best estimation what we are making given the difference in the interest rate between the two countries and the spot rate right now, that what could be the future spot rate from like after 90 days. But today when we are calculating it, it is actually the forward rate, because if I want to go into the transaction where I want to buy, say, the Swiss franc, by paying the US dollar but after 90 days, because I want to hedge my risk, then I need to lock my position using this forward rate. So after 90 days, it's not necessary that it will be the exchange the spot rate at that time will be exactly what forward rate is predicting today, but we are assuming it is unbiased predictor of the spot rate, so that on an average sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes near, but the frequency distribution is such that it will be where the center of the distribution will give us the same rate for the same rate what we are calculating using the forward rate formula today. So in other words, if you try to keep it simple, that the forward rate is the predictor of the future spot rate, and here in this case it's a 90 days forward rate, so it is predicting what would be the spot rate from 90 days from here onwards. So again, if it is first number, then what would be the what would be the spot rate on the 31st January. So we can see that there is a difference of the 4%. So which country is offering more interest rate? US dollars. Sorry, in the United States, they are paying 4% more, 8% minus 4%, they are paying 4% more. So the international Fisher effect now says over here that the US dollar should depreciate approximately by that difference 4%, and the Swiss franc should appreciate by 4%. Otherwise, we will have a disequilibrium, and all the funds and capital will go only to the United States, where there is more rate offered. So the investor should be indifferent about these two investment alternatives. So at the end of the day, if does not matter where the investor is investing, whether it's Switzerland or in Swiss franc, or whether they are investing in the US dollar bond. Obviously, the bond is of same characteristics and same duration. The end result, the end return which the investor will get, it should be equal, and he should remain indifferent. So if you use the forward discount and the forward in fact, this last line is not the last line is not the forward discount, it's forward premium. If we will see the forward discount of the US dollars, it is actually 3.92. So we can see that the dollar price has decreased from 1.48, like there, if the spot rate is saying that we need 1.48 Swiss franc in order to buy one US dollar, but the forward rate is saying that given the difference in the exchange rate and the level of the spot rate right now, after 90 days, the spot rate should be 1.4655 Swiss franc for each dollar. So it means that the worth of the US dollar has decreased, so it is selling at discount. On the other side, when the US dollar is getting sold at discount, automatically it means that the Swiss franc is getting at selling at a premium. So the last line is not the forward discount, so I'm sorry for that, it's actually the forward premium. And if you see that if you use the discount and forward formulas, it is telling us that the Swiss franc is selling at 3.96% premium, and might be from my previous videos, you can recall. If I want to find the premium, I simply have to subtract the small number with the big number, and whatever is the last number subtracted, it will come into the denominator, multiply by 360 divided by the 90. This will give us now the rate in terms of per annum basis. Now, actually, when we are talking about the forward rate, in fact the future spot rate is replaced by the forward rate, because we are doing the calculation for that future spot rate right now. And it is important, because if we want to lock the position for the future right now, we need the forward rate. We have to enter into a transaction with the counterparty at the forward rate. So when the interest rate and the forward rate actually come into play, the concept no longer remain international Fisher effect. It changes and becomes interest rate parity, and the rest concept is the same. And the interest rate parity is saying that the difference in the national interest rate for the securities of similar risk and maturity should be equal but opposite in sign to the forward rate discount or premium for the foreign currency, except for the transaction cost. So in simple word, all the concept is simple. If an investor is investing in have the alternative option to invest in two countries, and there is a difference in the interest rate, does not matter where he will invest at the end of the investment horizon, when he convert his money back to his home currency, he should end up getting the same amount. So for example, if you see there is a spot rate of the now pound, the US dollars and pound, and the spot rate is there are 2 US dollar needed to buy 1 unit of the pound. So the base currency is pound. So it means for the American citizens, it is a direct quote, because you are buying 1 unit of the foreign currency by paying your domestic US dollars. Now the interest rate is for the pound, let's suppose is 10% on a particular security, and on a similar security in US dollar in USA, the US bond is offering 8%. So we can see that interest rate where it is more, it is 10%, and in USA it's 8%. So there is a difference of 2%. Now, if you know by this time the international Fisher effect, you know that how the exchange rate will move. But because instead of using the future spot rate, we brought over here, instead of future spot rate, the forward rate, which is actually the predictor of the future spot rate, but we have calculated today. We actually entered from the concept of international Fisher effect into the interest rate parity concept. And let's suppose if the investor has like 10,000, it's a US investor, and he has $10,000 with him, and after a year, if he will invest in the US bond, what he'll get 10,800. The alternative option was that he could have converted into the pounds and converted from 10,000 US dollar to 5,000 pound and invested at 10%, offering the pound bond or security, and he will end up getting 5,500 after a year, and then eventually he has to convert it back. At that time, the spot rate should be 1.9636, so that he end up getting the same 10,800, the amount which he would have gotten as if he has invested in the USA. So if this equilibrium, if this situation will not happen, then there is a violation, and the capital will only flow to the high interest rate country, which is the UK, which is the United Kingdom in this case, and there will be a disequilibrium, and capital will not flow to USA and only to the United Kingdom. So if in future the rate will be $1.9636 per pound, you can see by conversion that 5,500 pound converting back to US dollar, it will give the investor the same 10,800. And that 10,800 means that he's indifferent. If it doesn't matter, he has invested in the USA, he will still get 10,800. And now even if he'll go to UK and convert the money back after the investment period back to USA, so over here the investment period says 1 year, right? So this is just a 1 year bond. So if he'll convert back to USA, he'll get the same 10,800. So now what is this future spot rate after a year? 1.9636 per pound. Again, if this today is 1st November 2020, it means this 1 year investment will mature on the 30th of October 2021. So after a year, there is a complete 1 year, right? And the investor will not take a risk to see that what it would be the exchange rate after a year. So he want to book his that conversion back today based on the forward rate. So this will be actually a 1 year forward rate, 1.9636. So if he will invest in a pound and book today at the 1 year forward rate, where he will be selling his 5,500 pounds at the forward 1 year forward rate, where the forward rate is $1.9636 per pound, he'll end up getting the same 10,800. So obviously right now you will be confused that then why he is, if he wants to get the same amount, why he's basically first converting into the pounds and then buying the forward to get the same amount as if he would get if he only invest in his domestic currency, domestic bond, which is the US dollar. And you are right, there is no reason. And this is what the interest rate parity says. Interest rate parity says that if, like in such a situation, investor should be indifferent that where he should invest, because even if there is a difference in the interest rate, he'll end up getting the same amount, does not matter where he will invest. So this is the interest rate parity concept. And if there is a violation of this concept, then what happens? Then there is an arbitrage opportunity. And we will start first with the covered interest arbitrage. And I'll show you that if there is an opportunity like where, like if the system is not in equilibrium, meaning that if the forward rate is such where if the investor lock his position of the future proceedings at today's forward rate, like whatever is the forward rate for that, say the investment horizon is 1 year, and if he locks into the 1 year forward rate and he end up getting more, then obviously it means that the interest rate parity is violated. And we'll see that in which situation the interest rate parity is actually getting violated. So this $1.9636 per unit of pound, it is actually calculated based on the same forward rate formula. So this is the forward rate dollar per pound 360 and the spot rate is given in terms of, again, the base currency is pound over here multiplied by 1 plus interest rate of dollar. So remember this thing. So if your exchange rate is for a particular currency versus the base currency, like the dollar versus pound over here, 1 unit of pound, then in the numerator the dollar will come, and in the denominator the base currency will come. So base currency again is the currency for which the other currency is the price currency, and one is the base currency. So the base currency is the currency when we are talking about its 1 unit worth. So we have this formula, and we know that from the previous example, the spot rate is $2 per pound. And so this, we have a $2 over here, multiply by 1 plus the interest rate in the USA, which is 0.08, divided by 1 plus the interest rate in the pound, 0.1. This will give us 1.363636, and this is the forward rate, 1 year forward rate, which is the predictor of that what would be the spot rate after a year. So this if you lock your position at this, you will end up getting the same thing. And if you calculate the forward, we can see that the interest rate in UK is higher, so it means that its currency should depreciate by 2%, and the US dollar approximately, not exactly, and the interest rate in the US dollar is 2% less than the UK, then its currency over the next year should appreciate by 2%. And this is what we have seen over here. So if you see approximately 1.82, which is around 2%, the pound is depreciated, and US dollar is appreciated approximately by 2%, to be exact 1.85%. So if, again, the same thing, if interest rate parity holds, investors is indifferent between investing in home or foreign currency. But if interest rate parity does not hold, which is important, then there is an opportunity to earn riskless profit, which is called covered interest arbitrage. And how do we know that there is a violation of the parity condition? If we divide the forward rate with the spot rate, so the same equation, this is actually the same equation like this, right? So simply I took this spot rate on the other side, so this is over here. If this ratio of forward to spot rate is not equal to this ratio of interest rate of the dollar to interest rate of the pound, then this D and F, actually this should be D. I was trying to make it generic, so it should be D over here. Let me show you, just give me a second. So I have converted it into a generic way. So there is F is the base currency and D is the price currency. So D will go in the, D can be any currency. So D currency will go in the numerator, and F currency will go in the denominator. So remember this formula. If these both side of the equation is not equal, then there is the interest rate parity does not hold, and we have the arbitrage situation. So let's go ahead and see that how we can proceed in order to earn the risk less profit. So let's suppose if the ratio of the forward rate to the spot rate is greater than the ratio of the 1 plus ratio of the interest rates between the two currencies. The first step is borrow D currency at the domestic, at the interest rate in the D country, and sell the D and buy the foreign currency at the spot rate, and then invest the foreign currency at the foreign interest rate, and simultaneously, like right at that time, so third and fourth step will happen at the same time. We need to sell the F currency and buy back the D currency by locking our position at the forward rate. Up till third step, we have an uncovered situation, and the last step makes it a covered situation. So once you complete the third and fourth steps simultaneously, you will basically get the covered interest arbitrage, CIA, right? So let's go ahead with this generic example. So there is a D currency and there is F currency. I'm just making something generic because you might have questions with the specific currency. So I'm just giving the example in a generic term. So the interest in the country where there is a D currency is 4%, and where there is an F currency, it's 8%. So we can see that there is a difference. And if the interest rate parity hold, then we can see that the rate is low in the D currency. So D countries should appreciate approximately by the difference between the interest rate, which is 4%, and the F countries' interest rate should depreciate by 4%, the difference between the two interest rates. So if you plug these numbers, so take the ratio of the forward rate to the spot rate, and also the interest rate according to the formula, this formula over here, and you can see that your both sides are not equal. If both sides are not equal, yes, there is a covered interest arbitrage opportunity. So 1.9 divided by 1.8, the left side is greater than right hand side. If left hand side, where the ratio of the forward and spot is greater than the right hand side, borrow the D, like the D currency, so borrow just 1 unit and agree to pay the interest rate if you want to do the investment for 6 months. So the interest rates are given in per annum basis. So these interest rates are on per annum basis. So agree to pay the 1 into 1 plus 4% divided by 2. So 1.02 units of D currency in 6 months. Now convert this 1 unit at the F currency by like at the spot rate. So this is the spot rate, right? This one domestic 1.8 per unit of the F currency. So in doing so, you will get 0.555556 unit of F currency. Now invest this currency at 8% for 6 months. Again, 8% is for the whole year. So actually after 6 months, you will get 4%. So 8% divided by 2 plus 1 into 0.5556, and you will get after a year 0.57778. But you are doing all this transaction today, and you know that after 6 months you will be getting that. Simultaneously, lock your position at the 6 months forward, where you will be selling your 0.57778 to buy the D currency from where you actually started, and you need to lock it at the forward rate. So the forward rate is given D 1.9 units of D currency to buy 1 unit of F currency. So if you do the conversion back, you will get actually this F currency multiplied by, like you can see that in the F currency units in the numerator. So this, check the 4th bullet point. So F currency unit in the numerator and denominator will cancel, and all you will be left with be the D currency. So you will end up getting 1.097778 units of D currency. And if you pay back the original principal borrowed money of the D currency along with the interest, which is 1.02 together, you will still end up getting more 0.077778 units over D currency unit. So each D currency unit. Now if you have, let's suppose 10 million, you simply multiply this with the 10 million. If you have started with the 10 million D currency units, if you borrowed 10 million D currency units, you can have your answer. So profit on rather going to 10 million, just go to the 1 million. So let's suppose if you started over here, rather borrowed with the 1 unit of D currency, you have started with 1 million D currency units, you ended up getting the profit of 77,778 after paying the principal and the interest back. So what if the investor do not lock the rate in the forward market? In that case, means you have not done this 4th step. You did not lock your position at the forward rate. In that situation, you are at risk. You can end up getting extra profit, or you can end up getting the loss. Now, what is your asset currency when you did the 3rd step? Your asset currency is the F currency. If it will, so each unit of the worth of each unit of F currency will increase more than what forward is saying, you will have tremendous profit. But at the same time, if compared to the forward, what forward was saying, so what was forward saying? What forward rate was saying that there are 1.9 D unit needed in order to buy 1 unit of foreign currency, and your asset currency at the third step is now the F currency, right? So if the worth of F currency depreciate, means if the number is less than 1.9, so you needed less number of the domestic units in order to buy 1 unit of F currency. What will happen? Just think over here, pause over here, and give me the answer. Great job, guys. If there will be less number of domestic of D units needed, D currency unit needed to buy 1 unit of F currency, then in that situation you will be at loss. So in order to explain you in a simple terms, say if after a year you would be getting 10,000 units of F currencies. Now if you have locked off, like right now, after 6 months, say 6 months, because here the investment horizon is 6 months. So after 6 months, if you will get 10,000 units of foreign currency and you lock your position at 1.9, so what will you get? So you will get the 19,000, right? So 10,000 multiplied by 1.9, you will get 19,000. So you are now sure about 19,000. Does not matter what would be the actual spot rate after 6 months. Clear? Now, if you will not lock your position and you will still get 10,000 units of the F currencies after 6 months, and the actual spot rate after 6 months is more than this forward rate, say it's 2. So 2, so in fact, because your asset currency is F now, right? And that F currency has appreciated. Now you need it after 6 months. The price of each unit of F currency is 2 units of domestic currency. So what you will get? You will get 20,000 rather than 19,000. 2 multiplied by 10,000. So you have $1,000 extra profit. But what will happen if your asset currency, which is F currency in this case, it will depreciate? So let's suppose if after 6 months the actual rate turned out to be 1.75 domestic units to buy 1 unit of F currency, then 1.75 multiplied by 10,000, 17,500. So you will lose. So if you will want to get a guaranteed D units, you need to lock right now at this rate and you will get 19,000. But if you will not do this fourth step, right? Fourth step, you will be in a uncovered arbitrage situation. Even it's arbitrage, but there can be practically loss as well, and loss will be because if the worth of your asset currency, which is the F currency, if that will depreciate, right, you will less domestic units will need you to buy 1 unit of the foreign currency. In that case there will be a loss. But if your asset currency will appreciate, you will be better if you will not lock your position using the forward rate. So look over here. I think I wanted to show you right over here. You can see if the investor do not lock the rate in the forward rate, this is uncovered interest arbitrage, and one can end up making the loss rather profit due to the exchange rate risk not actually going in his favor, it's not going in his favor. For example, say if the spot rate after 6 months is the 1.75 units of D currency in order to buy 1 unit of F currency, In that case, you will end up getting 1 point this with the same. Remember, this was the F currency. This is the number of units of F currency which you will get after 6 months if you have started with 1 unit of the domestic currency. So you will end up getting 1.01112, and after paying the interest back, right, you will be actually doing a loss of 0.008889 units of domestic currency on each unit borrowed. It's not domestic currency, it's D currency. For each unit borrowed in D currency. So if you have borrowed 1 million of D currency units, then the total loss is 8,888. Now, if the rate changed in a favorable way, so means it went to the, because your asset currency is F currency and it appreciated. So if it will go to 2 units of the D currencies to buy 1 unit of the F currency after 6 months, then you will end up actually doing the profit of 135,556. You can pause the video over here and double check your numbers. Now let's go to the second situation. In second situation, if your right hand side is greater than left hand side, means that your the ratio of the interest rate of the D currency to the interest rate of the F currency is greater than the ratio of the forward rate to the spot rate, then you need to start from the F side. So borrow F currency at the interest rate of IF, sell the F currency and buy the domestic D currency at the spot rate. Then invest the D currency at the ID, the interest rate of the D currency, D country. Simultaneously, now you have to lock your position. You cannot simply keep your position open and simply wait for the future to come and say what is the spot rate at that time. I just gave the detailed explanation earlier. So in that case, sell the D currency and with the interest earned at the forward rate and buy back the F currency, because you have to pay the principal plus the interest of the F currency back because you borrowed the F currency in the start. So again, up till third step, you have the uncovered situation. After the fourth step, you have the covered situation, and then you will have the covered interest arbitrage. So you have started with the S and forward spot rate and forward rate, and the interest in D country and F country. And if you compute these numbers, over here the investment horizon is 1 year. In the previous case, and how do you know it's an investment horizon in 1 year? Because we are considering the forward rate for the 1 year, 360 days. So in 1 year there is approximately 360 days. In the previous case, we considered the forward rate of 180 days. So we know that we are considering the investment horizon of 6 months because there are 180 days approximately in 6 months. Now, if you start, you borrowed 1 unit of the F currency and agree to pay 1.115625 units of F currency in a year. And how did I get it? I simply multiplied this 1 into 1 plus what was the interest rate over here for the F currency, 11.5625%. So in decimal, it's 0.115625. So I have to pay this much, right? So after agreeing this much to pay, or this much units of F currency to pay to the lender from whom you have borrowed 1 unit of F currency, you have to sell that 1 unit of F currency at the spot rate and get the D currency. And we know the rate from the previous slide. The spot rate is 1.25 units of D currency. You needed to buy the 1 unit of the F currency. So it means that you need you will get the 1.25 D currency units. Now invest that at the ID, the rate offered by the D country, which is 8.15%, and after a year you will get 1.351875 units of D currency. Now simultaneously lock your position at the forward rate to earn the riskless profit. And the forward rate is over here is 1.2 units of D currency to buy 1 unit of the F currency. And if you do that, you will end up getting the 1.126562 units of the F currency. If you right, if you'll do this transaction, so what would be your profit? Whatever is your loss after locking your position at the forward rate, 1 year forward rate, and getting back the F currency, which is 1.126562, you have to pay interest and the principal on the F currency, and you will left with 0.010937 units. And this is the profit if you would have started with borrowing 1 unit of the F currency. If let's suppose you have borrowed 1 million of the F currency units, then your profit is simply the multiplication of 0.010937 with the 1 million. It means 10,937. Now, after the interest rate parity, we have concluded over this topic. Try to understand the flow over here. In one of the lecture, we discussed about the relationship between the price levels or inflation between the two countries and the exchange rate. We linked the inflation with the interest rate using the Fisher fact. Inside the Fisher fact, if we bring the component of the exchange rate, then we come to the international Fisher fact, which says that the investor must be rewarded or penalized to offset the expected change in the exchange rate. So the expected change in the exchange rate involves the current spot rate and the future spot rate. And to calculate the future spot rate, today we actually calculate the forward rate. That forward rate is the unbiased predictor of the future spot rate. So when there is a forward rate of 30 days, we mean that that forward rate is the estimation that what would be the, or what could be the actually the spot rate after the 30 days. And that brings us to the concept finally to the of the international interest rate parity. And the interest rate parity says that given the forward rate and the spot rate today, it does not matter where the investor will invest, even when there is a difference between in the interest rate between the two countries, because once he end up getting the return back in a common currency, maybe it's a domestic currency or the foreign currency, he'll end up getting the same amount of money. And if the interest rate parity will not hold, as we have seen in this knowledge module, in that situation there is an riskless arbitrage opportunities, which is called covered interest arbitrage opportunity. You lock into a forward rate and you do the all these transactions in such a way and lock into the forward rate where the investor will end up getting more money compared to what he has borrowed in the original currency. So I hope you like this knowledge module, and if you have like any question, you can write down the comments, or you can also email me if you have my email. Thank you.